3.
Welcome to all our comrades around the world to the Socialist Sunday stream.
Staying silent.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Socialist Sunday stream. We got the awesome master of words, Suck My Opinion, tonight with us.
What's up, everybody?
Come on,
Hey, man.
come on! Every time you open that mouth, that's gold, fam. So we got Kathrin with us, and we got Morrin with us, and it's gonna be a lot of fun tonight. Say hi.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
Hey, everybody. What's up? What's up? I just finished watching that your new video, Suck My Opinion, on how to debate anti-Semites, and holy shit, man! How do you is this like freestyling, or do you script like what you're writing? Because like it's poetry, man. There's there's so much rhythm and fucking rhyme and everything. What's your secret, man? Come on.
Hey man, I would say when I was in college, me and my friends had a little rap group. We had a producer and everything, but stuff didn't fall through. So I just take that rhyming ability with me. And I do have a math degree, so it's like it all comes together, I can, I know a lot about history, and I say, hey, why not start a YouTube and
Hell yeah.
and really push leftists? When you come on my channel, I want you to feel comfortable being a leftist. A lot of spaces on YouTube make leftists feel uncomfortable. They're always down in leftism. Anywhere, anytime they can get just down, bam, bam. And I will say on my channel, if you a leftist, you're gonna feel happy. You're gonna feel invigorated. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna feel like a fire's been lit under your ass. That's what I want on my channel. Hopefully you're getting it.
Hell yeah, I'm feeling it. Feeling right now.
way.
Shit.
Yeah.
Let's do the revolution. Let's get off the stream and let's go. Let's take to the streets. Fuck this. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's really fucking cool. I really, really enjoyed it. And I also, I checked out your Patreon as well, and I noticed that you do like some leftist poetry as well. So I was really, as soon as I'm rich and wealthy, you better know that I'm coming for that. I'm coming for that poetry, man.
Yeah, if any of us score some money, we're gonna publish.
Hell
for
yeah.
sure.
On that note right there, but your audience, I'm thinking about just putting all the poetry together into a book. Probably
Great.
probably sometime next year. A leftist poetry book.
That would be amazing. I love poetry so much.
If
Okay.
you need
so
help with the
great.
layout, I'm a graphic designer. I've done like a lot of poetry books, like layout. I've done like 4 or 5 of them already, and we could do something interesting together, like doing interesting things also with the layout, with how the words are presented on paper. So I'm extending to you now. 2 hands I have there for you to
Hell yeah.
take advantage.
Mutual aid.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, man, because I got some ideas, man, for a poetry book. I got some ideas for a couple books I'm working on right now. But yeah, man.
Like layout, graphic design, and if you want some beats for those rhymes, I'm also here, man.
Oh, you got that too?
We could make a
Holy
great team.
shit. Javi is like musically he's a fucking virtuoso, man. Holy shit. He plays everything. He sings like a fucking god. I mean, sorry, Javi, I don't mean to fucking I don't want to toot your flute here too much, but fuck.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Do
need
you do
to.
any
That's
spoken
the-
word?
Yeah.
Do you do
Sorry,
any
go ahead.
spoken word poetry on your channel? Yeah.
Who, me? Oh yeah, I got a couple videos up.
Okay, I need to check those out. Sorry.
I got
You're
it's
interested in that
2.
as well, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to write my own poetry at the moment, but I have no background in doing it at all. I'm just trying to get inspiration from different things and just like, I don't know, I think I'm just trying to reclaim creativity, because I feel like from a young age, capitalism and like our system kind of puts you into this box like, oh, you're good at academics, you'll do academics, and like whatever is good for the market is kind of where you're pushed towards. And I kind of want to reclaim like things like art and music and things, because I feel like it's often like, oh, you're not, if it's not something you can make money out of, there's no value in you doing it. But so I want to do poetry just because I enjoy it, and not necessarily because I'm good at it, but it's just something. Yeah. Are you guys also thinking
yeah.
about ways of sort of reclaiming creativity? I mean, Javi, I guess Javi and Jay, you already do that. But was it a struggle for you to kind of be creative in a world that kind of pushes that out of you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Who's gonna go for it?
oh, well, I just want to make a quick note. What some you said is that, see, this the whole point of capitalism is to reduce us to numbers. So we're not humans. We're just labor, and when somebody think about this, work is just energy, just kinetic energy. But work, to me, we need to reclaim it. I'm working on building a relationship with my family. I'm working on building a relationship with my wife, my girlfriend. I'm working on traveling. You know what I'm saying? This is frame it, because now work is in the capitalist framework. Work is just producing wealth for private ownership. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're only as good as we can make profit for those social parasites that are like the bourgeoisie, basically, people who own the means of production, and they take value for nothing. And so everybody is like that. But the thing with us, people who make arts, whether it's music or poetry, whether it's literature or paintings or sculpture, or call it, whatever. The arts, what they do is they create value directly into society. So they're difficult to create like a monetary value that goes through the hands of the parasite class, say the bourgeoisie. You know what I mean? So it dumps that value directly into society. It creates that goodness that people can enjoy directly. So there's no way to profit of it. So capitalism has put it to the side. Same as humanities, like historians or social sciences. They're not as profitable. So you either become a teacher or you don't. You cannot make much research. And to limited degree, even sciences are difficult to profit off, like unless it's like a pharmaceutical but a researcher, the role of a researcher, they tend to be paid by the state, and they haven't gotten there. I mean, in my country they have gotten there already, because there's been so many cuts and the austerity measures. The first things to go, and like in school programs, are like the social sciences and the arts. And then then goes research, because we can't spend on research. We need to pay our masters, say the debtors that created all that fake money that you owe me. And then it's time to collect. And then when it's time to collect, we gotta pay for it. Who's gonna pay for it? The assholes who work.
Mm-hmm.
Say you and me and everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like there's also, for you guys personally, like a gendered element to it? Is it difficult as men to kind of reclaim creativity in particular? Because in a lot of ways you're socialized, to be unemotional, and I suppose creativity, and especially things like poetry, a lot of the time is so emotive, and like your songs as well, heavy kind of, and especially if you're socialized as a man to earn a lot of money and have these like corporate high-paying jobs, I can imagine that the gender element of it must be really difficult as well.
I don't know. It feels like there's a box for it, like the artist, and it's very masculine in a way. It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't make you emasculated. As a poor person, yes, like I can't provide. That's
the key.
A big toxic masculinity no.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the key thing. Like the class element really comes into it. Like there's so many things that are like accepted in our society, providing you're fucking rich. Like this thing where like if someone's poor and if they're a little bit different, they get called weird. But if they're rich and they're different, then they're just eccentric motherfuckers. This fucking thing.
That's so true. Yeah.
So like it's okay to be an eccentric, as long as you're some bougie ass millionaire, then it's fucking fine. But if you're
Yeah.
like a struggling artist, you're just you're just a bum, you know?
Yeah, like in America, so like if you dye your hair purple, that's it. You're homeless. That's how crazy. You talking about artistic expression. I mean, yeah, when you're poor, you just can't tattoo your face up. You're not no rich rapper. You can't do this. So
Yeah,
how you express yourself is very limited when you work for a factory. When you work for some any mini welder, anything like the welder, work on the ship. You just can't show up pink hair, pink
yeah,
mohawk. So
can't do it.
that's how I say really it reduces your expression because
Mhm.
you can't wear what you want to wear. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. Man, it was like it's really like that in Ireland as well. Like the schools have like these really strict codes of of what you need to wear and shit like that. You can't grow your hair long or any shit like that. You like anything that it just goes a little bit outside of this prescribed normative box of society, of mainstream conservative society. You can't do it. They send you home. You can't have facial hair. You can't do anything. And I know these are kind of
Can't
just
have
like
facial hair
individualistic
at
things.
school.
You can't have any of
You
it.
can have
I mean, some kids did have it. I didn't. I wasn't that kid. I wish I was a
at,
bearded
at
kid.
my high at my high school, jokers, people had gold teeth. People had tattoos on their face. People had tattoos on their neck, and that's crazy. That's wild to hear that. That y'all, yeah,
It's
Wow.
amazing, man.
yeah.
Things are changing a bit. Like
You
before,
know, you know how it was for me.
how it was.
You know how it was for me. It was we all wear uniforms here in Ireland, right? Like everyone wears a fucking school uniform, so they're indoctrinating us into this this cult already, right? So we're in our uniforms, and the collar comes up to here, right? You got to fucking wear the button up and the tie and all this shit. And if your hair goes past the tie, it doesn't matter what kind of hair you have, if your hair goes past the tie or if it goes below your fucking eyebrows, they're gonna send you home. You got to get that shit cut. You can't get it. But here's the thing: it's not just a case of getting it cut like short. You can't shave your head. If you shave your head, they fucking send you home and wait for it to grow back because it needs to be like, like I don't know, like 2 centimeters long, like an inch long or something like that. So it's fucking ridiculous. Oh man, it's just anyway. That's a little complaint. It doesn't matter. Javi, you're gonna say something important.
I don't I don't know. I lost my train of thoughts. Don't worry about it. But it's like
Sorry.
I think it's getting better. Like at least in private companies and stuff, people are more accepting of tattoos. Like back in the day, I remember you couldn't even have one in your arm, not to say in your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've on the whole like school uniform thing though, I always kind of appreciated that I had to wear a school uniform because I used to feel like I didn't have the money to be able to buy, the cool clothes, and I felt like everyone would judge me
Yeah.
if I was wearing the same thing every day. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
That part's good.
Yeah, I don't really know whether I'm in favor of it or not, but I guess
Mhm.
I don't know, I guess I need to look at the pros and cons a bit more, but they do
Yeah.
make it ridiculously expensive though to buy a school uniform.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you. I'm sort of working on this video about nudism, and they talk about how. Sorry, this is a tangent, but it is related. Trust me. Trust me. Talking about nudism is somehow related
Yay.
to this. Like, so there were some like early communists, like in the early like 20s and 30s, and they were making like serious connections between nudism and like sort of a prefigurative politic of a communist society where class distinctions didn't exist, right? So when you're naked, workers are just workers. Doesn't matter if you're rich, doesn't matter if you're poor, doesn't matter where you are. You can't tell if somebody's like rich or not. You can't see them wearing this fancy clothes. You can't see like someone wearing a big fancy suit. You can't tell if someone's just like a factory worker. You can't tell. So that was one of the arguments they made. Now, of course, people I know like a lot of like lifestyle anarchists, kind of like individualist anarchists, are super into this. I know it's a lot more complicated than that. There are also other sort of key signs of wealth, affluence, and all these kinds of things. But there is something to it when people are sort of they all kind of look the same. So whether we're all naked or whether we're all wearing uniforms, it is a kind of, to use an obvious term, unifying force. You know what I mean?
Mm,
I don't know if I don't know if saying that turns me into some kind of tanky or something like that.
That's what tattoos are for, though. You
But
get
Yeah.
yeah,
naked, but you got your identity there.
but like I'm gonna do something a lot of liberals do. They'll say, well, they'll say this. Let's say everybody's they knew this now.
Yeah.
The hierarchy will lessen, as we
Mhm.
know that, right?
Mhm.
But some people still gonna have fake titties,
Sure.
plastic surgery, fake asses, special tattoo. They might start having gold tattoos, that shine
Oh
on
yeah.
your body. They will try their best to make a
Facelifts,
hierarchy.
whatever.
But
Mm.
if you know what I'm saying, they always try to make a hierarchy. So why even try? That's like a liberal. They'll say, well, if it's not gonna, it's not a zero sum game. If you can lessen the hierarchy and make it more to a horizontal, then people should be open to that. They shouldn't just dismiss it. Like a lot of people dismiss what you said. They're like, nudist. That's not gonna change the world. That's not gonna start a new earth. That we're not gonna all speak
I
new
agree with that,
languages and
man.
whatever. So
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree
you
with
can't
that.
even attempt to do something differently. That's a liberal. That's the
Yeah,
liberal to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
totally. Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. By the way, I'm not suggesting that nudism is like gonna like usher in like a new like socialist utopia, but
Let's get demonetized and say, let it hang, let it
let it
hang.
hang. Oh shit. Okay, so what we had some points that we were going to talk about today, right? We were going to talk about work, ruling class, and liberal mind prison. I think we kind of just accidentally fell into this liberal mind prison thing. So hey, so Jay, can you tell us just a little bit, maybe for the people who are watching and checking this out, when you say a liberal mind prison, what exactly are you referring to there? Liberals are
Wow.
free, aren't they?
Oh, they uh
Sorry.
the neoliberal the neoliberal will look at this world and willingly or unwillingly, what is currently happening is they are processing ideas that can only be applicable in a capitalist society. All ideas that they formulate for solving problems has to be confined into the realm of capitalism. So if you see a bunch of homeless people and you and I as leftists will say no homeless people, and that would just kind of like, it'd be hard for them to kind of internalize that, because they'll say, well, that can't happen in capitalism. You're right. I didn't say that. I just said we should house everybody. And that's the liberal
Mm,
mind prison, because
Mm.
this whole idea of half and half nots, we saying none. Like you said, and when we say that, they kind of taken aback, because they saying, well, capitalism can't allow that. I mean, so that's the liberal mind prisons, that not wanting to ruffle the feathers of the capitalist, system. That's the
yeah.
liberal mind prison.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. It's capitalist realism
It's
all
not
over.
thinking outside the box, outside the system, not thinking about solutions to the problems that we have, because problems that we have, they're inevitabilities. Holy crap. This is not my
Yeah,
mother language.
like
Inevitabilities.
Don't worry, you're killing it, Adam. Don't worry. This kind of reminds me, and I don't know if I want to ask something to you, sort of like on this subject. Jay, did you see that new Black Panther movie?
no, I haven't seen it.
So okay, so you know about like the Black Panthers. They're from like Oakland, California.
Oh, I know very
You know
much
the
about
whole.
yeah.
So you know all about this. At the end of the movie, right? Sorry, spoilers. Spoiler alert to anybody who's who's checking this out right now in the chat. Spoilers are going to be given. At the end of the movie, um, what they do is like I think it's like Black Panther and a couple of his friends, they buy like this whole like this poor area. I guess it's like this kind of ghetto area. It's super poor, and they just buy it. They buy it. So like they save the area through capitalism. And I just thought that that was such a perfect metaphor for what's going on here. And of course the movie's called Black Panther, so I thought that that was just a little bit, I don't know, I didn't know what to think of that with regard to the Black Panther
Well,
Party.
that,
They put it in Oakland, and then they were sort of proposing that we solve like all of this social inequality by just fucking buying it, just relying on
sounds
some good-hearted philanthropic capitalists to save the
sounds
day.
sounds like recuperation.
Yeah.
no, really, this is something that I live in a black community in Alabama. It's not done like this, man. I've seen people shot, stabbed, and I don't know how it is in where y'all live, but as just say I see somebody killed or shot. It's not a big deal. Ain't nobody gonna come interview me. There ain't finna be no mass America. That's why a little tangent. That's kind of why at first I was kind of apprehensive to the March for Our Lives. I know y'all aware of this in America, because I was like, man, I didn't been seeing people shot way before when this was public. You know what I'm saying? I was like, that's that tier system life. But yeah, man, but back to that the big rich cap is gonna save us. I be telling people in my community, I be like, look, this is a 2-tier system we living in. Okay, if you look at the streets, it's parts of Alabama that don't have sewage systems. So capitalism is not going to. I'll be trying to tell capitalism is not going to solve us to us. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a 2-tier system in America. Like in my city, the majority of the white kids go to private school, and majority of black kids go to public school. So they then, by knowing this, they defund the schools. And I be telling people, you worrying about some Jay-Z, some rich black Oprah is not finna change these fundamental systems, you know. So yeah, man, that's not gonna change a 2-tier system. Like, I don't care about no black billionaire or millionaire. I'm trying to change the system, because even he or she, I mean, they can want all they want, but we have the war on drugs. We got mass incarceration. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
you know, and the last thing I want the European audience this. When I'm saying 2-tier system, I'm saying that in America, one population could live a life totally different. You know, like one population could radically experience gun trauma, and others nothing of it. That's the 2-tier system. That's because of capitalism. Hey, you need a 2-tier system. But
yeah, and like there's two different life experiences completely.
Oh yeah.
Don't you think that leaves like a big opening for parallel power structures? Like in the second grade citizen, people can get organized and do, you know, create dual power structures that would even become more powerful when the inevitable downfall of the United States government happens.
You said inevitable, you know.
Inevitable.
It's
By
looking
the way, it's happening.
It's looking strong, man. They're looking strong now, man. You know,
they looking strong in there, but from outside we can see that shit is going down. So you people better be ready.
In the heart of the beast, man. You know, I'm in the heart of Trump country. This ain't,
Yeah.
you know, it don't like it.
And the thing is, there's some apparent levels of mismanagement that are gonna end up with a downfall of that country. So it would be like a good thing for you people to get organized and go like, yeah, you guys fall. We got our own infrastructure. We got our own people organized. We got our own stuff, and then take over eventually.
You know, I am a revolutionary radical, but I talk to a lot of leftists. The level of this. I don't know how. I want to travel because I want to go to Western Europe in particular. I want to see something. Do y'all have 2-tier, like do you have poor populations like that poor, like, and you have ones in Beverly Hills? Because like it's like in America, the people can't even start, in my opinion, revolutions. Like, we got dirt roads, you know, whole millions of people can't get access to clean drinking water. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to schools completely falling apart, no air conditioning, all this. And I just don't think at this point you need some form of social democracy, because, you know, don't y'all got a public healthcare system?
Yeah, basically everywhere has some level of public healthcare system.
We
It's
got
better in some
zero.
places than other places.
We got zero here, you know, none. Like, if you get sick, that's too bad, you know. So it's like,
richest country in the world.
Yeah, I think your countries are more ready to start a socialist revolution than my country. I see it, because like, you know what I'm saying, y'all just, that's why I feel, you know, it's just as American, you know, it might look on the outside like, you know, we got so much money, but Hey man, I don't know. I'm on to see if do y'all have that level of poverty in Europe? Like places with like no sewage systems, no roads. Do y'all have that kind of?
At least from the places I've seen, where I live in Madrid, there used to be like in that, like, back in the 1980s, there used to be like little outskirts, you know, little ghettos, let's say, in a more contemporary sense of the word. But to be honest, like it's more like a gradient than a two-tire system. Like in a way,
Yeah.
it's more like a gradient. It feels like you can get to extreme poverty, to extreme rich, and everything in between. One thing I've noticed, in Madrid, like back in the day, I used to work as a I had a few gigs with a friend as an assistant photographer, and we worked for a magazine, and we made some portraits of some very rich and famous people, like this famous architect, whatever. And I remember coming into like a fortified, highly security area, like a little suburb of very rich people's houses, where we had to go through a surveillance. They had to ask for IDs and everything. It was private surveillance and everything. So it was like a little fortified, but these feels like they're more the exception than the rule. It's just like the one percenters of our society, and everything else feels like a gradient. I don't know how about your countries, and well, where I lived in, like for instance in Norway. It also, it's like a gradient through and through. I haven't seen those fortified things, but Norway has this thing that it's a very rich country that they scored like oil in the 1970s, and they it got like quote unquote socialized. Like some public companies had like a lot of wealth, so they have like a lot of public investment, and they have like a different culture where public safety is not so compromised that they need to fortify themselves. There's still huge inequality, but it's not, it doesn't feel like a war zone yet. It's on its way there, though. There's like a lot of neoliberal policies that are eroding the Norwegian system, alas. And as for Poland, it felt like a gradient through and through, but it was like because of the language, I couldn't get so integrated in that society. So it felt very similar to Spain, I think.
I think you really need to go to like Eastern Europe. A lot of Eastern European places, you're gonna see that serious poverty. You know, like you go to Moldova, Eastern Europe, and you're gonna see some real fucking poverty. You know,
Yeah, Poland not that
uh,
bad though.
yeah, Poland's, yeah. I mean,
Russia,
um,
I'm thinking.
oh
I
yeah,
heard horror stories
Russia's
about Russia. You're either super rich
oh
or super
man,
poor, and nothing in between, basically.
yeah. It's been fucking tragic since the fall of the USSR, man, and like most of those Warsaw Pact countries,
The drunk fuck.
post,
What was his name? Yeltsin. Boris Yeltsin. Ugh.
yeah,
He sold the country out. The motherfucker.
yeah.
And last week, wasn't Dumpster Flower? He was talking about Chav Solidarity, the book, and I haven't personally read it, but he was talking about how there's certain parts of the UK where it's like children made to, in order to be able to survive, engaging in like sex, prostitution, and like having these different methods of protecting themselves through their own sort of like solidarity amongst themselves, but these kind of areas on the fringe of society that people don't like care about. It's not as extreme, I guess, as like they still have healthcare and they still have sewage and things like that, like basic social services in some ways, but it's still like those extreme, like the extreme disparity between rich and poor still definitely exists.
Yeah, mostly in big cities. I think, and I think in France they
Yeah.
have like more or less the same. Like they have like these projects where there's like a lot of poor people, migrants, and marginalized people who live there, and the police doesn't even bother to get in there. So they have like their own. They have like their own mini state happening there, and it doesn't work super well because everybody's colonized with the capitalist mindset. So it becomes like a mob situation more than like a mafia situation than anything else. It's kind of dangerous places.
Yeah, like yeah, man. But internet in America, yeah, man, it's like real dangerous places. Like I'm talking about extremely dangerous. Just put in perspective. I have a cousin. He's 18. He just graduated high school, and he told me, he said, "Man, I'm scared, man." I was like, "What you scared about?" He live in a part of town that's way more worse than mine. He was like, not all of his friends, but a lot of his friends have been killed during high school, and now he's graduated. And this is normal. Like, nobody's interviewing this man. He has emotional pain. That's the two-tier system in America. It's like, I was at the ball shop a couple weeks ago, and I heard a gunshot, and ain't nobody jump or move. And I think if we was like, I guess a two-tier system, like if you was in Beverly Hills and you heard a gunshot, immediately you call the police, you would, you know what I'm saying? But it's here, that's that two-tier system because of capitalism. But
It's fucked. It's fucked up. It sounds a lot like Brazil. It sounds a lot like
it's
Brazil.
not that bad as Brazil. Now, whoa, ain't that? It's some parts of America now. Ain't gonna lie. Some parts of America they're touching Brazil, but I seen the favelas. Nah, we not on that level.
Yeah, I've been down to Brazil there, and it's pretty. I'd never seen wealth inequality like I'd seen it in Brazil. It's wild, man. It's really fucking intense. And again, there is that two-tier system where, like, if you're a white guy walking down the street, you're fine. The police are your fucking friends. You're basically high-fiving them and shit. Okay, that's not that extreme, but yeah, if you're a black guy, if you're a person of color, any kind of person of color, you're you're in trouble, man. And especially if you're living in like these poor areas, these favela areas, it's really fucked up. People who are like, quote unquote middle class in Brazil. Let's say you got a little middle class house, right, in Brazil, right? You got these fucking two-story high fucking gates in front of your house, electrified fucking gates, right? So nobody can get in, right? You're coming into your neighborhood, and you drive around the block twice to make sure nobody's fucking following you, because people do that. They follow the cars, right? And then as soon as the gates come up, like for the house, these guys will try to like break in. They'll try to break in because there's such wealth inequality there. We're talking like Brazil's like in the top 10 largest economies in the world. There's extreme wealth in there as well,
That's on purpose.
Fuck yeah,
people understand this is not just what this is dropped in my lap. No, this was coordinated by the colonizers. But yeah, man, and you talk about the ruling class, the ruling class. What I was going to talk about, and it was probably leading to that, is that favelas and mansions, that's a blatant visual representation of inequality. Capitalism is inequality. The ruling class is somebody who makes inequality. And in America, I don't know if you've I'm pretty sure y'all got it in the right-wing circles in America. In Europe, is these people who claim that they're being censored, right? That they can't speak at all.
Fuck them.
If you're a straight white male, you can't talk anymore. If you listen to some of the right-wing circles, but and they'll say that they're getting dominated by the ruling class. But see, I find a lot of bullshit in that argument, a whole bunch of it, too much, man, and because it's like this. I would say the ruling class is the private banks, is the real estate businesses, places that literally hold their life in your life in their hands. People who got houses, medicine, not Twitter. Twitter is rich because they're billionaires, but Twitter does not sell medicine, does not sell houses. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure. in your level of severity, you putting Twitter on par with. We don't even have a public healthcare system. They talking about so it's like the ruling class is Twitter. That's what we should be mad about. Twitter, Google, YouTube. White people can't talk anymore, even though y'all talking right now. But how the right wings be saying it. I ain't saying it, No.
Yeah, totally.
I thought it was really
well on behalf of white people. Let me say no.
You were saying, Kathrin.
I thought it was really interesting what you said earlier about how you felt like in the European context it was easier for us to have some kind of socialist revolution because we had these like basic social services. But do you not think that in some ways, like in where you're living currently, because of just how unequal things are, and people must really realize just how unfair the system is, and without having healthcare and stuff. Do you feel like that in a way mobilizes people to want to create change and want to tackle the system and have a revolution? Or do you find that in your experience with the people that you meet, it has more of an effect of, I don't know, people are focusing more on their day-to-day lives and don't have time to focus on the system, or people are like indoctrinated by more liberal points of view, or do you think that, I don't know, I'm just really curious how you think that, or if it's possible to mobilize people in like places like Alabama where you're living?
I tell people all the time, this is not dissing no Alabamians. I'm a Alabamian, born and raised, but I think some people who live on the coastal areas of America don't fully understand just how bad it is in Alabama, Mississippi. I was talking to a Mississippian YouTuber too. He said, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I don't trust my drinking water. You talking about I've been beat up by the police. I've seen people stab, when you living in this kind of environment, I'm speaking specifically about the African Americans and Hispanics. When you living in this kind of two-tier system, inequality system, it kind of look hopelessness, because it's like this, I know, I when I got to a certain age, when I got to 15, 16, I knew of the two-tier system. When I went to school, the roads we go on, the treatment of the police was much different from the middle class whites, or white people in general in Alabama. 90% of the drug arrests in Alabama for black people. They only represent 20% of the population. So when you facing that amount of scrutiny, that amount of persecution, it's, from what I see, most people who live in poor parts of Alabama, they just have they have just they just given up, man. Because if you lose a job in Alabama, that's it. That's your life. You don't have free healthcare. We don't have guaranteed sick leave. We don't have maternity leave. They just banned abortion. So they took in the personal autonomy away from women. When you living in such a repressed area like this, revolution is so far-fetched. It, and also at this, people, they are worried about in Alabama about the culture war. I do believe in the culture war, but they want it for the other. They trying to ban abortion. We just had a senator, a senator of Alabama literally called Ilhan Omar a terrorist and said she needs to be removed from office. They're not focusing on things like this. They're not focusing on the third world poverty we have in Alabama, Mississippi. They're focusing on Twitter. Twitter just banned Hail Hitler 27. You know what I'm saying? That's what they mad. Like, I be like, that's what you mad about. Like, I be talking to my workers in Alabama, and a guy told me this. He was saying, nah, man, I don't think we deserve free healthcare or free school. And I was like, why not? He was like, we talking about paying off student loans. He was like, I signed a paper to the government and said, I'm going to pay. And I mean it. And I was like, bro, what is you talking about? Who is the government? Like, in Alabama, man, it's like a cult, man. I'm being real. These jokers not in no revolution. They worried about, they have a revolution against gay people. They have a revolution against trans people, but not against the economic system that's trying to, they like inequality. Even the poor white people, they have trailer parks here. Extremely poor white people. Some of the poorest white people you probably ever met. Poor. No teeth in their mouth for real. And they're not worried about this. They're not worried. They just fine with it. You would literally think these people are under a spell, because it's I used to work at this school. This is all white school. It's like mostly white. And these jokers poor. Like, they come to school hungry. Like, that breakfast is the only meal they eating, you know what I'm saying? That and lunch. And that's the rest of the day is nothing. And I remember when Trump won, the kids would come to school saying, no more Mexicans, no more Mexicans. They're not concerned about no economic revolution. They're more concerned about hate. I'm just being real. And I see it too in Europe. Brexit, it's all about race. It's being real.
It's all about
immigration. It's nothing about economics at all. It is strictly, and sooner or later, I'm being real, if you don't stamp out the right wing in your countries, they're going to start going after the public utilities because they're going to see that as a way of helping immigrants. And I'm telling y'all need to get up on it, man. I'm trying to tell you, man. Y'all need a revolution, man. Now, man, y'all can do it.
Yeah, conditions
We're
are
working on it.
happening. It's kind of accelerationist in a way. Alas, like I don't think any of us are accelerationists, but I think that's the turn we're taking historically, and we need to be ready to react when it happens, when shit hits the fan. You know, to be ready to respond basically to what's gonna happen, and we're seeing it coming. So that we got like at least we have that advantage that we're seeing it coming.
Yeah, but sorry, you go, Paul.
No. Well, I was just gonna say, like, we really need to look. I mean, we're talking about like economic base and like superstructure. We get into these like Marxist concepts and stuff like that. We really need to think about like what is informing these people's ideas, their ideologies, their mindsets, their norms, their values
The
that
media.
makes them
The media.
believe. The media,
Fucking
exactly.
TV.
The media. Fucking TV, the movies, we're talking about Alabama, we're talking about things like the American dream. We're talking about this culture, this hegemony, right? This soft power that they have, It's not even a case of like we don't even need to have like necessarily like a military force telling us to do things or a police force telling us to do things, although they fucking do have that. But we don't even necessarily need that once our minds are colonized, we've talked about a little bit about that, and that's something we need to all deal with. All of us, everywhere in the fucking world needs to deal with this shit. And yeah, I don't know how we're gonna deal with that, but we've got a fucking ton of work to do. And I really think that leftists contributing to media will help that. Like I think a lot of people are at the moment are a little bit cynical and a little bit tired of shit like BreadTube and LeftTube, and they see the drama, they see whatever going on, and they're like, oh fuck this. This is just like bourgeois bullshit. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
But actually, this is propaganda. This is propaganda. What we're doing here is we're trying to instill class consciousness to get people to critically analyze the systems that they're participating in, the systems of domination, oppression, exploitation, these unnecessary and unjustifiable hierarchies, right? So things like this, not just BreadTube, things like in the actual media. You look at movies, like for example, recently Boots Riley has that amazing movie that came out, Sorry to Bother You, fucking phenomenal movie, very explicit in its criticisms of capitalism, and I think we need a lot more of that. We need that to fucking permeate our society, and get those seeds, start planting those seeds everywhere. That's going to get people thinking, oh yeah, maybe a revolution is possible. So Jay, get that fucking poetry out, man. Get this shit out there, because that might be the seed. That might be the fucking seed that grows into this massive fucking revolutionary beanstalk or something, that gets us, because you don't know, man.
Yeah, books. I was probably gonna try to start a website. I was gonna try to be like the Time magazine of the left. You know what I'm saying? A real left. Explicit. I'm talking about stuff. I want to make stuff where it's explicitly socialist. I'm not hiding it. I'm explicitly anti-capitalist. When you come on my platform, it is explicitly anti-capitalist. I'm not afraid to say that.
Bullshit.
Like what I do see is the ruling class. Talking about ruling class, the mainstream media, they operate in liberal mind prison more than anything. They never tackle the systematic issues. Like even like Greta Thunberg, somebody tell her about capitalism. Like, how could you have a climate change movement without talking about capitalism? Like, this is like when I watch media now, I can't really watch it. I'm like, you leaving out essential, information.
Yeah. They're cherry picking. They're cherry picking her discourse. Just leave the damaging parts behind. And I think what Greta Thunberg is doing is she's playing she's playing very well into the emotional part of it, and it's a very efficient tactic actually what she's doing, because emotions sell well. The media is gonna pass it. It's like back in the day in like when Spain was under the dictatorship, it's like filmmakers, they found ways to get through the censorship. They had like a lot of priests and fascists from the regime who reviewed all the movies, and whenever there was something that they didn't like, they just ordered to cut it out of the movies, or
We
simply
had that
the
in
movie
Ireland too.
wouldn't go out. So in a way, our modern day censorship is the censorship of capitalism. It's like private companies deciding what discourse goes through the news cycle and what discourse doesn't. And I think what Greta Thunberg is doing is very, very, very effective. Insufficient for us leftists, yes, because we need that clarity of saying capitalism is to blame for all this shit. Eventually, no. If you come to think about it, if you look at the science, but not the climate science but as well the not just the climate science, but as well the social science. It says like, yes, it all stem almost, I would say, even most oppressions as of today. Like some of them didn't origin in capitalism, but as of today, most oppressions are based on capitalism. They're sourced from that very principle that some motherfucker can own a company and steal surplus from their workers. And in a way, she's doing like a very effective job, but of course, it lacks the social analysis part. We haven't analyzed this thing, in her discourse. We have as leftists, but we're lacking that bit. But that bit wouldn't pass the censorship, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because I was thinking about the way in which we talk about what makes an inspiring person these days. And I think there's currently this trope of in a lot of movies and media in general of thinking of like looking at this like one big hero that's going to save the day. So we see it in a lot of hero movies, and we also have it like the billionaires are going to, Bill Gates and Elon Musk are going to come and save the day. And I feel like in a lot of ways, this is deliberately manufactured to make us think as if change comes about from one leader leading the way, as opposed to like mass struggle from lots of people coming together and organizing and creating change. We're all made to believe that, we can leave it to Greta, we can leave it to like, I don't know, even if we look at historical examples, it's like, Martin Luther King was the main reason why that led to like slavery emancipation. But actually, if you look past that, it was like a mass movement of people. I think it's kind of deliberately made to feel as if change now more and more with all these more like hero movies and everything, as if change will come about because of one person leading the way.
Yeah, this is some like great man theory bullshit. I mean, this is like a fallacy. This is like a fucking fallacy that's been around for like hundreds and hundreds of years. Like 300 years ago, people were like, "Hey, great man theory. This is kind of bullshit. Like the history of the world is not the history of great men." But now the liberals being so fucking inclusive have changed great man theory, and now it's great person theory.
Yep.
Problem solved. It doesn't need to just be a man. It can be any kind of person. There you go. But it's still one individual.
Back to the liberal mind prison, right?
Fucking liberal mind prison, man.
Yeah, but like the rule is about I'm talking about the ruling class on this issue right here is that that's why I try to tell people about climate change, just regular people. I don't even go first at the whole like it's affecting the world stuff. I'm talking about just immediately in your face. I mean, some guy with a whole bunch of green pieces of paper could just say, I own all this land and I'm finna drill for oil, and I don't care that's right near your community.
Yep.
That's ruling class. I mean, I can control you, I can poison you and get away with it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what more ruling can you be? I don't like
Dakota access pipeline all the way.
Yeah, fracking, all this stuff, man. I think like I'm not abolish it. I'm trying to understand this argument we having is that we just can't come out and say abolish it. Like I don't understand. Like what.
Even more so in a day like today that we have like the technology to move past fossil fuels for real. Like we can do it as of today. we have the technology. 20 years ago, we could say,
Yeah.
well, how could we have our society move forward? But now we can. It's just not. They don't want to do it.
Yeah, they don't want to give up all that money and power. Of course, that's capitalism. And so I've even heard some politicians say this. It's like we got to do it in a way that helps the oil companies. I'm trying to. How did that get in the conversation? I thought we was about helping America. I thought we was talking about helping the world, not 100 companies. Like, who cares if they don't like it? Deal with it. Suck it up. I don't really get this climate change conversation. I don't even take it serious if you're not talking about critiquing economics, because I mean, oil companies make so much money. I mean, the richest family on earth is the Saudi royal family, and that's because of oil. Uh, you know, I don't get it, man. Just get rid of oil entirely. I don't
Yeah,
know what's the big deal.
yeah. Away with fossil fuels all the way.
Yeah.
Maybe one way, off the top of my head, what we could do is like everybody pitch in and create solar farms on rooftops in poor communities, so they own the solar power that it generates. Like, for instance, we could do something like that, like projects of using poor communities to own their own solar power, and eventually even sell solar power to reinvest in those poor communities and make them stronger.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I put out a video just, a couple days ago about like the IRA and stuff like that. And one of the tactics that I found particularly interesting in terms of the Irish Republican Army's like guerrilla warfare is that so obviously there were these like Irish nationalists in the north of Ireland, left-wing nationalists who were being oppressed. They didn't have the same rights as people who were like loyalists, loyal to the UK and stuff like that, right? And so they had like these civil rights movements. They had these armed insurrections. But one thing that they did was they knew that if they got a bunch of AK-47s and they went and attacked the British Army, like they're outnumbered at like they can't do a damn thing. They are so outnumbered that it's not going to make a damn bit of difference, right? But what they did, here's what they decided to do. They decided to strike right at the heart of capital. So what they did was, and I know this is kind of like a controversial subject even to talk about, because like a lot of us on the left are really like, yeah, armed insurrection, revolution, let's fucking do it, until somebody has actually, experienced it or been near it or something, right? So it can be like a very like touchy thing to talk about because people die, people die in the crossfire, and so it's a very delicate subject. But what they did was they would attack specific buildings, right? So they would bomb a specific building. So they would hit Britain right in the capital in Ireland, right, during their colonization of Ireland, right? And what would happen was that the British government would reimburse the business owners, the bourgeoisie, the landowners for their businesses. If their businesses if their businesses were like blown up by the IRA, then the British government would pay them for this, right? So what happened was the IRA ended up costing the British government like fucking millions and millions, if not billions of pounds sterling, just to recover things. So what they were trying to do was they were trying to make it economically unviable for Britain to stay in Ireland, to continue their occupation of Ireland. Okay, so people will say like, well, what the fuck? People are getting killed and all these kinds of things. There's a lot of arguments to that. There's a lot of stuff like, for example, when they were going to blow up these specific buildings, they would give warnings to the police. They would give warnings. They would say, look, we're going to blow up this building in 3 weeks, from an anonymous phone call. We're going to blow it up, get everybody off the street, get everybody out, save them, right? They call them up again a week later, 2 weeks, we're doing this. A week later, next week, we're doing this. On the day, we're doing this. We're blowing this up, get everybody out. And unfortunately, on a number of occasions, those messages didn't get out there. Those messages did not get across. And some people, there's different perspectives on why those messages didn't get across. Some people say that the police didn't want those messages to get across because that would suit their narrative of turning the Irish Republican Army into terrorists, because a lot of innocent civilians died as a result of this activity. But that's what it is. That's striking right at capitalism. That's striking them right in the economy, And so these are kind of like, these are strategies that people need to think about, like real strategies. You know, I'm not saying those are perfect, those are the ways forward, but there are things we can do. There are things that people can do. There are ways of getting more mobilized, organized, and we can
Those
fight
are
back.
effective strategies when you're fighting like another country's government. But the problem is when your enemy is the one that's charging you taxes, you're kind of betting against your own money. It's tricky. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, when we think of a revolution, everybody thinks about, you know, getting the guns and getting to a fight, and you know, but most part of the revolution is cleaning and serving food to people, or working, repairing stuff, and taking care of
It's the cuddly
children.
side.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah,
work
Important
for
side.
everybody in the
yeah, because
revolution.
like
Yeah.
in America, Joker's got 100 round machine guns. You know what I'm saying? Regular, you can get 20 of those. You can go to a gun show. You can go to a gun show, get 20 AK-47s. Nobody asks you nothing. No, so it's
Oh
like,
man.
so like you talk about it ain't happening. So I'm to me, yeah, it's about people think that we got our guns have a revolution. I disagree, because we are we are in the most armed society in history, and it ain't happening. People are not willing to do it. It's
Yeah.
I personally believe it's going to be factions between inside the country. I don't think that's me personally. I see it because you got certain part people now who they don't they worship inequality. You know, inequality is violence,
Yeah.
and they worship that violence,
Yeah.
that
Mm.
Totally.
marginalization. They want that inequality to persist, and that's what I think the factions are going to be in Europe and America and Brazil moving forward. Because it's kind of all I see. It's kind of all the same. It's they don't want a world that's more secular, that's more egalitarian, because people are going to lose. Some people are going to lose badly. You know, you got a mansion and we got people sleeping on the street, you're going to lose. The whole point of having a mansion is a visible display of dominance. You know, that's what it is. I got a
Mm.
Lamborghini, you
Yeah.
riding a bike, you walking, that's the whole point. That's why we have billionaires. Like, that's the fact that you even a billionaire. Like, how does one person even accumulate? Even the pharaohs of Egypt couldn't accumulate this much wealth, but they have, you know like, yeah, to your point, you say worship the billionaires and stuff like that. uh Even people in America who got bunkers, guns, they got mini guns,
The
they got
preppers.
everything. Yeah, preppers, all what you need, but they worship the billionaires. They mind, they got all the guns, grenades they could ever, like. Do you, like, I don't know how it is in other countries, but you could be armed. Your whole house could be filled with thousands of rounds of ammunition, and they not doing nothing.
Mm.
It's the colonization
Nothing.
of the mind. It's the colonization of the mind in a way.
If people in Europe had that, and people in Europe, in my opinion, where y'all live, had access to that amount of firearms, stuff would be different. It would not, it would not be, because y'all not focused on trying to ban abortion, gays. Y'all talking about economic issues. You know what I'm saying? So if y'all had guns like that, it'd be a whole different. You know what I'm saying?
I
If
mean,
y'all got together and made up, what you
we
gonna
have
say?
our own amount of assholes in power too, but let's say they like aesthetically different, but they feel a little bit the same when they screw you over.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure y'all got yeah, y'all have capitalists there,
Oh yeah.
but I don't know if y'all have the level of conservative socially people. I don't, like, from my perspective, I don't see it like in y'all countries. I could be wrong while we talking, but
Yeah,
do
and
y'all have a people who are like, that's put gays in prison type stuff? Do y'all have that?
no, not really. I mean, we want people who want to have that, but they don't get they never get enough of the votes.
Yeah, like they're super small minority of people. You know, like less than 1%
We laugh
of
at
the votes
them and
generally.
we go
They're
like,
dead.
Y'all laugh
Yeah.
at it.
they're laughable. You know, in Europe, it's like, nope, dude, it didn't happen. We had the Hitler, you know, and that kind of
Yeah, we had that though. That's a thing.
Yeah.
We did fucking have Hitler, you know. So
Yeah.
so that's
You're trying
right
a
now
new
things
one,
are
you
better.
know, an orange one, but
Yeah.
it's another brand
Jay,
of
Jay, when you said that you think that revolution in the US would happen through different factions, what exactly do you mean by that? I was kind of curious, like what revolution would look like to you in the US.
me
Or I guess
pers-
it's a hard question to answer there.
well, me personally, how it would look, it would be a civil war. It would not be because America is so culturally isolated. Like I said, you got places we got weed legal now. Some places weed legal. Some places they throw you in prison. Some places have gay governors, gay mayors or whatever. In some places, they're talking about gay people can be fired from their job, and they are getting fired. They putting it. Some places abortion is nearly on demand, while others is you go to jail for getting an abortion. So, and we live in a extremely culturally isolated. The people who live in Middle America versus the culture of the more metropolitan areas. There is a big difference. We are not the same America. There's a big difference between New York City and the middle of Nebraska.
Yep.
It's it culturally how they value life. People around here. I've met a lot of white supremacists, lots of them, many throughout my life, and they love police brutality. They like this stuff. They like inequality. They like mass incarceration. They think we need more people in prison. You know, so I'm saying that's who it'd be against people who sick and tired of war on drugs. It's a lot of people. The Bernie Sanders wing against the Donald Trump wing is basically that's the divide in America. That's the two popular sides. One that's one populism that's motivated by hatred, ignorance. You got one that's motivated by economics, motivated by love. You know, we're trying to, Bernie Sanders and stuff. We're trying to for the first time America, give you public utilities, give you actual free university schools. We're trying to change America. Like I'm talking about, and you got Donald Trump saying he want to go back to the 50s and 40s. So
that's the thing. Is like Bernie Sanders is not proposing like a revolution or something. He's just giving you like basic decency back.
But it sounds like revolution to these people.
Exactly.
To people who don't, I'm trying to be real with you, they don't give a fuck about certain human beings, trans, gays, blacks, immigrants. They don't care about them. They could all die tomorrow. This was serious. I've seen a lot of people on LeftTube. They be reluctant to call this what it is. There are people who are not going to be swayed by economic arguments. They hate people. They hate me. People come on my Twitter page, call me a monkey and I'm a chimp. Jesus. I'm not finna talk to these people about economics. So you're gonna call me a monkey, and I'm gonna say, well, have you heard about Marx? It's like, this is what kind of conversation is this, right? And
but that kind of thing doesn't happen in real life. Like if you meet a racist in real life, and but it's not you. You're a nice guy.
I don't know.
It's the other black guys.
Nah, right? You live in Alabama. I'm telling you, I live in Alabama, bro. Like I'm the first person in my. I'm the fourth. I'm only 25. I'm the first person in my family born with all his rights. So the racism, no, I experienced it. I got beat up by the police. I've been stopped and frisked multiple times. When I was in college, white people, some white people, because again, talking to conservatives, white people, they would come up to me while I was in math class and they'd say, "Hey, do you think blacks can process math correctly?" This is 2014, 15. So I'm not surprised at Donald Trump. I'm not surprised at Donald Trump, man. I've been living around these people my whole life, and they're finally just making a huge comeback. But yeah, man, that would be that's a civil war. Now imagine that, right? Imagine that you got people who literally care about people. Listen, this is another thing I talk about a lot. The anger of the leftists in America. We see y'all in this country have government health care, have maternity leave, you have environmental protections, and you living in America with these Trump wackos, these Trump cultists, and they're talking about, let's get rid of the EPA, let's get rid of minimum wage, that's some friction right there that's not talked about. Do you
Mhm.
know how pissed people are who care about gays, who care about immigrants, who care about seeing these people in Alabama, Mississippi just disregard human life? Like I'm being real to you, the politicians have in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, they campaign ad of the Georgia governor was him putting immigrants in his pickup truck, sending them to jail. That was his
Oh my
campaign,
God.
and he won. The governor of Florida was running against a black man. He called him a monkey on the debate stage. Won the governor. That's do you know the people in California, and that's what it's gonna be. The liberal, the more socially liberal people against social conservative. Like we're not even gonna get the economics to that. That gets settled, because I feel that the only reason you support capitalism and you're a working class person is because you hate somebody and you know this is gonna like a hammer on the nail, lay down some inequality that you can't do on your personal self. But this system will 100% guarantee you inequality. Yeah, that's what's going to be a civil war. That's what it's going to look like. It's going to be ugly too.
I'm with you guys. If you need me, I'll go there.
I need to move first of all. I need to move because I'm in the wrong part. Nah,
And
you know what I'm saying?
if you need shelter, we can squeeze you in here in Madrid, man.
Hell yeah, we got plenty of space for you in Europe here, man. Come on
There you
over,
go.
enjoy some of that sweet, sweet social democracy.
Worst case scenario, but if you need a couple of hands to fight the good fight, I'm with you.
Yeah, man. That's what's gonna be. That's a good question, Katrina. A lot of people they don't. I say they don't talk about that. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, damn it. And how instrumental is this racism to sustain capitalism and that stupid warlike mindset that keeps you running and with everything all privatized, everything is like come to think about it, like the United States is a very dangerous place to live because you get sick and you get broke basically, and then your life ends anyway.
Mhm.
It's over with, yeah. You lose your job. I mean,
Yeah, your life is over.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, man. Like,
You lose one of your three jobs.
yeah, I worked doing when I was in school and worked since I was 16. I got a master's degree now. Luckily, I had parents. I had some privilege, and I had two parents, and but the racism is this, yeah. That when you privatization is a form. It is to me the research I have done. It's no other way you can explain it. It's no other way that you can explain this country of America continually getting rid of programs that will ensure a better standard of living for the working class people. No possible way you can get this amount of support for these systems. It's the only thing you can come up with. And that's why I'm not a leftist, man. I'm trying to tell you is like, yeah, like people do feel this way. Like I know it may be surprised, maybe you've never met, but there are people who hate gay people, who hate trans people, who have deep passion
Mhm.
hate for people of color, and they don't know how to express it. They frustrated. They say, well, let's privatize everything. Let's defund the public school. There's politicians in Alabama who say want to get rid of the public school system. And she's not laughed out of town. She wins elections. Why would they get rid of the public school system? Why? Why would they want to
Yeah.
privatize public school system? Like this is the best you can come up with in 2019. It's because of racism. This I be sometimes my mind be like when I hear
Mhm.
my workers say this, they want to say it, and I try to get them into saying it because I be like, come on, man, be for real. A lot of them do tell me it's because of the Mexicans. They don't think that, like one person said, I don't think we should have gay teachers. I'm not finna send, saying, so we gotta defund public schools because they're gonna allow gay teachers. This is the level, like when I
In
talk
a
about it,
way, everybody's each other's scapegoat for problems they're
Yeah.
actually caused by capitalism.
yeah. Well, this is strictly on the Trump people now. I'm saying, like I say this, there are people in America who do want these systems,
Yeah.
but we have electoral college that gives the middle America more power, political power, than the more socially. Like I say, we got places where weed is legal. They got you know what I'm saying? Oh, different stuff. They got gay parades in certain parts of the country.
It's a
But
very big
yeah,
country.
It's 300 million people here. It's a lot of perspectives. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very, I don't know, it's very ingrained in it, and all that hate. You think there could be like a way to diffuse all this racism, like showing people, yeah, well, look at me, I'm black, I'm totally normal. All those legends you heard about me, bullshit. You know, stuff like that. You know, you could make like campaigns or something to deprogram those racist bullshits. Like, look at me, I'm Mexican, I'm this okay guy. I do everyday life, and life is, I'm just your neighbor. You and me, we're the same.
I also think on that issue, I think it's a bigger issue than that. It's a systemic one. It's that the two-tier system.
Mm-hmm.
In the two-tier system, if you know, like I say, 90% of the drug arrests are people of color. So a lot of white people start to view blacks as inferior because they're getting treated as such. You go in the black neighborhood, it's such run down, the schools run down. I'm saying, like, when I was 16, man, like I was a drug dealer in a drug open area. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that was going on now was instinctively done in African American communities. And I can kind of see when I went to college, talked to a lot of white people, is that seeing somebody shot, seeing people stabbed, this is not happening everywhere. So it's a two-tier system of life, you know. So when a white person in Alabama goes to a black part of town with no sewage systems, dirt roads, he thinks that they deserve it, because it's like, how else can you explain this? You know, this level of inequality. To me, we have to get to a point where we can't even, like I say, we can't even get the racists to go to public school together. Yeah. We have, you know what I'm saying? So they not even talking to them. Like, I really didn't talk to white people until I was like 17, 16. Up until then, everybody, all my institutions, sports teams were black. And so my churches, this is, you know, I used to hate white people, be real with you, because it's such a two-tier system of life that I felt that it was like, man, this is completely done on me. You know what I'm saying? All my friend, you know, I had a cousin that went to jail because he had a marijuana seed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a fucking joke.
So yeah, but now I see it's an economic system. I love everybody now, white, black, everybody, Hispanic, the economic system. But hey, man, you can't talk to everybody. But on that, you gotta start at the very bare minimum. Like, hey, man, have empathy for your fellow human beings.
There you go.
Like, just on that level.
Yeah, and that's a good start, and that could be like a domino effect that could, you know, destroy the rest of the system. Again, in a way, off the top of my head, a couple of things that could be useful in this two-tier system is like trying to make the lower tier better, but not expect the government to fix it, but for the people in the lower tier to fix it themselves, and maybe. On the one hand, like trying to promote like mixed spaces where people get to know each other and go like, you know, we're the same, you know, where people can realize those things, like making, I don't know, mixed spaces, have like any space and organize like mixed events where people like could know each other's cultures and go like, oh, well, look at that, and that you do different, but everything else you just fine, you just, you know, you're just like me, and also. Like I'm under the impression that like the drug trafficking causes like a big level of marginalization, and it kind of feels like it's very instrumental to the capitalist two-tier systems that you have over there. Like I think I'm, in my opinion, like in Spain, if you caught the cocaine supply for a couple of weeks, the system is gonna collapse, and then we're gonna have like a new thing going on because everybody's gonna be sober. But in the case of like street drugs and stuff like that, it's like they're playing a big role in deactivating communities and ruining young people, you know, and making them less of people, and getting them into those closed circuits where you got nothing else to do.
Yeah, you know, that's something that even when I was selling drugs, I would see young people involved in it, like kids. I consider them child soldiers. You know, they had guns, 13, 14.
Yep.
You know, already had a mouthful of gold tattoos. They was already at 15, 14 say, this is what I'm doing. And it's like this though, right? Okay, the police. This is no conspiracy. The police is bringing drugs into the community. Border
Yep.
Control. They
Mhm.
all working together. How else? How else can these places get this amount of drugs on a
Yep.
consistent basis? It has to be working with the government, and what the government does, because they want to facilitate inequality, they pick particular neighborhoods to set up as drug markets. One was right next to my school. I don't live too far from one. And you go here, and the entire neighborhood is a rolling drug market. You knock on the door, you come in, like I remember I knocked on this. I remember my first time I went in to buy some drugs. This is a little tangent, but it was like I was in Narcos or something like that. Like these jokers had AK-47s, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what
Oh
you need?
shit.
This is like, and people get killed. I remember this girl got shot in the head, a little girl, over some two guys drug dealing. She get hit in crossfire. This happens, and so even at an early age, the two-tier system is witnessed. I think we need to start real young, man, because when you growing up in that area, I don't feel bad, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, I wasn't selling crack or nothing like that, but it was just so readily available. It's one thing that I hate when how they talk about drug dealers. They like, okay, you telling me you got opportunity to be a millionaire and you living in the projects of the hood. You not gonna take that up. These
Mm.
capitalists are ruining the water
Fucking
supplies.
totally.
They are ruining the atmosphere. You
Yeah.
don't think Lamarcus on his street corner is gonna try to do this? And
Mhm.
they dehumanize drug dealers, man. They be talking about drug dealers. I was a monster. Everybody's a monster, like that. And that's
Fuck that.
how when they arrest all these drug dealers, they all black and Hispanic.
Yep.
So I'm saying it's a two-tier system,
Yep.
like, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Got
man.
legalized
That
drugs.
Yeah.
That's the worldwide legalized. I think it's worldwide legalized drugs. That's my thing. Because even in
yeah.
Colombia and Brazil, it's the same thing. Even in Colombia, the people with the money live okay, and they have the favelas and slums as the drug markets. It's the same Mexico everywhere. And I think we just need legalized drugs, man. It
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
been should have
totally.
been did it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
There was a thing, and I remember reading about it, because I made a series on like the history of like oppression through drugs and stuff like that. And I remember I was like reading this little article from a newspaper in 1875 about how opium was coming in from China. They had all these Chinese workers coming in who had like opium and stuff like that, and they were just hanging out, having some fun. They had some opium dens, and they weren't really causing any trouble. They were causing way less trouble than anyone who would be in like a normal like bar, pub, whatever. They were just going into these opium dens and basically just sleeping, relaxing and shit like that, right? And they didn't care when the Chinese people were doing this themselves. They didn't give a shit. They were like, this is fine, whatever. But right here's where it gets really fucked up. They said there's this newspaper little article where they say um, young white women are mixing with these Chinese men. It, they say that it was morally outrageous and it was awful that they were mixing. And so that was, if I'm not mistaken, in the US, that was when like the first drug laws came in. And then later on, you had things like hash, like with weed and stuff like that. That was associated with like excuse me, there was a revolution in Mexico in 1910 where a bunch of Mexicans migrated north into the US, and they were working on these farms for much cheaper than like the small family farmers who were like white small family farmers. And to compete with the labor that these Mexicans were doing for cheaper on these much larger farms, they noticed that, well, these Mexicans have weed, so we can't criminalize being Mexican and like searching for work here, right? But what we can do is we can criminalize the substance that they're associated with. So likewise, that's what they did with opium. They criminalized opium, then they criminalized weed. It's the same thing. Anytime you get someone who's countercultural, anyone who the dominant classes, the ruling classes don't like, anyone who's inconvenient to them, they criminalize these substances so they can lock them up. Same thing happened in a slightly different way with like the 60s countercultural revolution and stuff like that, when you had like the anti-war movement and people are challenging the war movement, gets associated with taking psychedelics, acid, things like that. Then we also got to start talking about like mandatory minimum sentences with like crack and stuff like that, where like it's 100 to 1. Like you have like, I don't know, like what is it, like half a gram, you have like half a gram of cocaine and half a gram of crack. Half a gram of crack will get you like 100 times historically, it would give you like 100 times the amount of a sentence that you would get for the same amount of cocaine, of powder cocaine. And why? Because fucking rich white people would use powder cocaine, and because poor people of color would use crack cocaine, or at least that was the association that they had, right? Now, I guess Obama saved the day, because now it's only 18-1. The difference is it's
He didn't
only
even
18.
legalize weed, man. He could, like, he didn't even like,
He
but
could
man,
have.
bro. I really feel you, man. Like, man, hey, man, you need to do some of that,
Fuck.
man, cause that to me is another thing people don't understand, man. Like, that's
Yeah.
how they criminalizing people of color now. It's like,
Yeah.
we're not gonna say we're not gonna arrest you because you're black, because you're Mexican.
Yeah.
Nah, but we're gonna say you get just, and it's like in New York City,
Yeah.
90% of the people arrested for drugs are black and Hispanic. How
Yeah.
does this work? Every year, 90%. When white
Yeah.
people do more drugs at a higher rate, and about that race thing, you familiar with the opium epidemic in America?
The
No.
opium epidemic? No, I
A
don't
The
know.
lot of
opioid, right? All those prescription
heroin,
medicines.
oxycontin, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, yeah, the recent one. Yeah.
It's the biggest drug overdose thing ever. But be honest with you, more people die of alcohol and tobacco. It's just to scare people. But a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
like
white
OxyContin
people,
and stuff, right?
yeah, a lot of white people died. Like I'm talking about in certain counties in America, more white people die of drug overdose than are born. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? This entire decade.
Fucked.
And and the response has been to it. Hey man, let's give them a hug. Hey man, let's give these white people a hug, man. The
Two
police in
tears.
certain communities be riding around with therapists. And I say, man. And I remember I was talking to my cousin. I was like, the president of the United States in the 90s came out with a packet of crack and he said, anybody who got this, you over with. Now we got the president saying, come give me a hug. I'm like, why they not in prison? Like, I thought they put but I don't want nobody in jail. But if tomorrow you was to arrest white people at the rate you do of black people, drugs would be legalized in less than 5 years.
100%.
Oh, absolutely. It's only been recently, actually, to be honest, that I read all that stuff about how after the 13th Amendment and like slavery was abolished, how they deliberately put into place so many new laws, like, oh, black women had to work, otherwise they'd be put in prison. Black people weren't allowed to walk on a certain side of the road or whatever. And these rules were deliberately only put in place for black people and no one else, and not for white people. And it was deliberately manufactured so that they could have like slave populations in like prison, because like the 13th Amendment left out that people in prisons could be slaves. No one else other than people in prisons could be slaves. So they like it was, and I remember reading the stuff about how a lot of black people were saying that actually slavery was better than after like the period just after the 13th Amendment, because actually being like put in prison and having all your rights stripped away and systematic like torture and things like that was so much worse than actually being a slave, where the people who were the slave owners had vested interest in keeping you like able to work, if you know what I mean. It sounds like counterintuitive, but I guess
so
it makes
fucked up.
sense. But yeah, and that still continues on today. Like, and I can't, it's just crazy that is the history of like where mass incarceration, like the purpose of mass incarceration is to have like surplus labor force so that we can make more profit for rich billionaires.
They know this. I'm telling Keith this one thing. Like, say this, and then you probably PewDiePie, right? He's a neo-Nazi. This is
Motherfucker.
very easy to say this. This is very easy to say this.
Yep.
Very simple. I didn't have to think a minute.
Which,
You
by
know
the
what I'm
way,
saying?
fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him. But
Yeah, fucking.
I be talking to other leftists who be like, nah, man, it's just a misspeak. He's just being silly. They don't want to internalize that people really feel this way. And I think I'd be like, because I remember I was debating re-education, right? I don't know if y'all know who Aaron from the white guy with the red dreads.
Yeah,
And
dreadlocks.
I don't, when he said this, I don't think he meant this in any bad way. I just think this maybe he didn't know. He said that some people look at the left, right, and think it's a oppression Olympics. And I said, maybe you can see it that way if you don't know what's going on. then the outrage, the rage and anger might be weird to you. Like, what is coming from? I thought everything was hunky dory. Why are you so mad and upset? People of color, poor people, gays. Why are you so upset? I thought everything was hunky dory. Oh, now y'all mad? It's like, now been mad forever. It's nothing new, but it's like and I said, man, re-education. I said, you may not have known. He probably, like I said, was living very segregated lives. Some people don't know what's going on Native American reservations. Yeah, they still alive. Them people. Yeah, the people in your history books, they still living. You know what I'm saying? That stuff's still going on. And when I hear people talk about oppression Olympics, you know, people on college campuses are going crazy. White man can't talk no more. White man, you know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, totally.
I know y'all probably
Exactly,
be on Twitter, and they be like, all white people are silenced, and it was because of the Jewish people. These are the people we're dealing with. This might sound wild to you, but these are the people who inhabit this world with us. Jews cast magic spells to make all white people die. Like, this is the stuff we're talking about. I'm being flamboyantly ridiculous just to show you what the mind state of some people. Like, when they see the world, you might think of economic critique, you know, by science. They say, oh man, those Jewish people. You know? Hey, that's my last. Yeah, I had to make that video debunk anti-Semitism. It's so ridiculous to me. Like, to me, that gets in the way of talking about capitalism. They say Jews control the world, and I'll be like, how does it work? How they control the world? Like, they control the weather? Do they control the earthquakes? Like, what do you mean the world? Do they make animals go extinct? What power do they have? And if they got so much power, how they not the richest people on earth? They, you know, it's so many holes I can poke in it. Yeah,
they have like a remote and they press stuff.
Yeah. Billionaires control the world. You know, that's what we try. But again, it's conspiracy. Racism is conspiracy theories. I mean, you know, in the end, you know,
it kind of looks like nobody's at the wheel. Like, shit is going down because of negligence, basically, and addiction. People are addicted to hoarding wealth, and at whatever cost. And then there's so many levels of disconnection between those who are hoarding the wealth and those who are paying the price. That it sounds like more like nobody's on the wheel and shit is going to hell because these people are doing what they think is the right thing. It's like, yeah, it's good for me. It's got to be good for everybody. They just don't care. I don't think there's like an evil master plan or whatsoever. It's just bad management because there's too many layers of it. And of course, you know, when you got like power structures that are like incredibly nested and multi-level, extremely complicated, of course, man, things are gonna get out of control. But the thing is, they don't pay the price. We do. You know, that's the difference. Yeah. And one thing about the racial problem in America, it's one perception I had, like the very few times I was visiting, is like everybody's like in their little box. So you got the blacks on one side, you got the Cubans on one side, the Puerto Ricans on the other, then you have the Koreans, then you have the Chinese, and everybody's like on their own separate box, their own separate social structures, you know, kind of social networks. Kind of by design, do you have, right? Like in your communities, do you have like outreach places, like everybody who's racialized under these oppression systems could get together and say, hey, at least we are not racist to each other?
Not where I live. I'm just saying, but yeah, I live in a small town. You know, it's not happening. It's not gonna happen. And if I brought it up at my work any place, they'll look at me like I'm like I just stepped in from another dimension. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what like, I mean, anything like, you know, also nothing gays, right? Like, yeah, you know. That's not even cool here, man. Like what be mind-boggling me is that they talk a lot about transgender people, which is cool, which I'm with. I'm like, man, in certain places, you're not even accepted if you're gay yet. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's good. They talking about even transgender, man. to be a transgender people, a person in the South, you have and basically said, I'm not working. You can't work no more. Like you can't be a gay and married, have a job. So
Like in a way,
certain
that's a capitalist shortcoming. Like the owners of the companies are like the little feudal masters of their own. They can decide who they hire, who they don't. They can be as fascist as they want, if you know what I mean.
Dictatorship. The private sector is a dictatorship. You know,
Yeah.
that's everybody
Totally.
knows that. You know, if you disagree with me tomorrow, say something to your boss you've been wanting to say. See what happened then. If you don't believe this is no dictatorship,
Yeah.
in America, go say something nasty to your boss. That's gonna be your life. That's it. He could say bye.
Yeah. Exactly. Damn, but do you have like a lot of people from other racialized communities in your workplace or in your life, in your social circles?
At work, you know, I've hanged with some white people in my life. You know, you know, you can look at me. I'm Creole, right? I don't know if you heard of Creole.
Yeah.
Y'all call it like, okay, like even in within the African American community, there's division. There's Africans be with Africans, Jamaicans be with Jamaicans. You know, so I think it's what we trying to offer a world where everybody come together is revolutionary. Some people can't even wrap their minds around it. They don't even think it's possible. But what's going to have to happen is no more two-tier system, robust, great public utilities that, you know what I'm saying, that cannot that the private sector cannot compete with. Like the private sector can't make a nuclear bomb, right? The government know what they're doing. Like when they make a bomb, they make one so great that the no private company could compete with it. But for some odd reason, when it comes to school and healthcare, they give one that's so crappy that of course it's going to be a private sector is going to come in and to do that. So we just need to build our schools how we build our bombs, if that makes sense. You know, so great. I'm talking like, man, you walk down the hallway, you think you in the 25th century type stuff. You know, it could happen. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's so silly. Like everybody's in their little box, but everybody's oppressed by the same systems.
Yeah.
See, you're a revolutionary, man. You a socialist revolutionary. You can see it. You're not somebody just like you in your neighborhood right now is thinking about Jewish people. That's just you know, we gotta.
Yeah, it's thinking about Jewish people in the wrong way. Like, let's be friends with Jewish people.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Let's be friends with Chinese people, Korean people. Let's be friends with Mexican people, with Boricua people. Sorry, Katie.
I also think that it's a little bit off topic, but I think going back to the whole like liberal mind present thing, I think it's really interesting as well to think about how like the not-for-profit industrial complex also plays into this a lot, because I feel like the options given to us or given to especially liberals who seem to want to do a good thing is to go and work for an NGO or go and work for a charity or something, and that's like how you're supposed to change the world from within. But if you look at if you put all the NGOs together, like the economy of all the NGOs in the world put together would be like the 5th richest country in the world if it were all like one country. And despite the fact that it has such power in terms of wealth, it's not making any real meaningful change. And I read all this stuff about how like the not-for-profit industry was deliberately created when like, you know, social services were no longer like being privatized, and it was supposed to fill this gap and keep people in this like state of equilibrium where they're not quite oppressed enough to like rise up, but they're kind of being like say, you know, like feeling like there's people who care about them, so they're not gonna rise up. And it's kind of like giving people, it's radicalizing a lot of radical socialists who want revolution, want to create change, because they get sucked into these not-for-profit industries and get overwhelmed by different forms of bureaucracy and don't end up actually ever creating any meaningful change, because they have to like pander to the UN or like the like rich people corporations who are funding them and then they don't ever end up, even if they start off radical, ever end up making any meaningful changes. Like, yeah, we fight climate change by planting a few more trees. We fight feminism by like getting women not to shave their legs and like freeing the nipples and like, you know, it's kind of, I really feel like the not-for-profit industrial complex really feeds into this liberal mind prison, because people feel like
Totally.
that's the way to change the world.
We need to recruit liberals. I made a video how to convert liberals to socialists.
Yeah.
We need to
Hell
get
yeah.
as many. We need to get them. We need to recruit them. You know, let them know that you can be radical. You know, I mean, I think the time is now. Really not being radical. I'm just being radically empathetic. It's radical empathy. That's what I consider. That's why I
Yeah.
say it's radical
Totally.
empathy. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Radical empathy.
the word radical has been
100%.
so demonized. Like, come on, radical is from the root. It's not a bad thing to be a radical if you're
Totally.
a radical good person.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
yeah,
listen,
we
gang.
need to radicalize. Yeah.
I'm super sorry. I've got to take off now. It's been so fantastic talking to you, Jay. It's been amazing talking to you. I'd really love to do this again sometime. I'm not sure. Are you guys gonna keep going? Are you gonna keep going, or are you gonna wrap it up?
We can
Up to you,
about 10
Jay.
more. You can do about 10, 15 more minutes, you know
Yeah,
what I'm
let's do
saying?
it. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna take off. So listen, thank you very much, guys. Thanks to everybody in the comments and the chat who's talking here. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you all same time next week. Take care, guys. See you.
Amazing.
All right, man.
Bye.
Take care, guys. Bye bye.
So yeah, I mean, we need to radicalize these liberal people, because most liberal people, like the individuals, the people, they mean well. They're people with empathy. They just got fooled by the system. They just got tricked by this is that, but that bullshit, that what was the name of the guy, the best of possible, the end of history guy. I always forget his name because he's so irrelevant anyway. But this bullshit of the end of history, and that we lived like in the best of possible worlds, and it's like, nope, this world is shit. We're going back to the middle fucking ages, you idiots. So in a way,
Yeah.
it's like, this is get better. You're on the right path. It's just you're looking for good things in the bad place, right?
Yeah, man. You know, I try to tell liberal people, my family and my friends, or even people on YouTube who hit me up, is that I think it's thought from the empathy. You know, how much you care about people, how much are you willing to take? I mean, like, no fossil fuels, no homelessness, no two-tier system.
Yeah.
You know, once you can start thinking along those lines, see, it's like this, right? The liberals like, well, I just have ants biting on my legs. It can bite on my legs long as it don't bite my body. Like just just a little pain. You know what I'm saying? I can take a stub toe. We're saying no. Let's strive for no pain. Let's strive for no struggle. Like, stop glorifying struggling. That's not, stop glorifying rag to riches stories. Rag to riches stories are not good. When I see them, I that's bad. I say, man, that sucks that you had to live that life of suffering.
Yes.
You know, it's like, I'm not, that shit ain't happening in the first place. This shit ain't never, you know what I'm saying? But one thing, man, our propaganda is up against, some stiff competition. They really paid.
Yeah.
They paid, man. Like PragerU, Steven Crowder, all these shitheads, they're paid. But they don't have the genuine authenticity as we have on left. We really care about people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we're like super honest, and we're like the people who are being oppressed who need to listen to. So it's not like somebody's talking to them from above and giving them like a direction. It's like, hey, take my hand. I'm like you, and we're gonna do this together, and it's gonna be awesome. Like, in a way, we need to be. We're friendly, good people. We need not to show like all these impossible theorists that are like inaccessible, or these very warlike minded, like, angry people. I'm very angry. We're angry. We're gonna be low key angry all the time because shit is fucked up. But at the same time, we need to show them that we're friendly, regular people like them. We just thought about some stuff, and we may have a good point on how to get out of this shit, right?
Yeah, I guess part of the problem though is that our propaganda, and I wonder what you think about this, Jay, is like has been recently been criticized. It's like very white. BreadTube is very white and often very privileged. And like, how has your experience been on like LeftTube, BreadTube, Jay, and like, how do you think we can improve that? And do you think that like, yeah, we should be doing more to like help creators of color and things like that? Well, that sounds kind of patronizing, but you know what I mean, like
The whiteness.
What it is? What it is? I understand. See, like I get it now. I think a lot of white people, they want to help people of color, but they don't know. They didn't grow up in a two-tier system. They don't know from birth. They don't know what impact it's had on you, and on the outside looking in, they might not can comprehend that. I first need to acknowledge this. I mean, I'm not Hispanic, I'm not an immigrant, but I understand the struggle. It's called being a human being. I think if anybody can, I say, well, I mean, read just a history. I don't think this is a big deal. To be honest with you, like a lot of white people say they don't know. I just kind of find it hard to believe. It's not. It's like what I'm saying. Like my granddad was running from the Ku Klux Klan. This is not that long ago. They should know, but I think they hiding this and the white leftists, if you're a white leftist, what I do try to radicalize white leftists, but understand that a lot of people of color living in a two-tier system feel not acknowledged. They like the angry black woman. It's that are we protesting? We a nuisance. Understand why they are angry. The data is backed up, and this is not no conspiracy theory. The data is here. Mass incarceration, the drug war, redlining, not getting the benefits of the New Deal or the GI Bill. Two of the biggest wealth producing things. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans did not receive this, and understand that a lot of people of color don't want to come on here because they feel they got to deal with racist people, which you will. I told them you're gonna have to deal with them, but also don't expect the people of color to want to readily be trying to talk to racist people. That's the some people been telling me, hey man, why you don't talk to the neo-Nazis? And I say, I'm not finna talk about Marxist theory with somebody who's planning ethnic genocide. You know what I'm saying? I feel like not calling PewDiePie racist. It's kind of like insulting to me. I take it as insulting. Like you can't call this man racist.
Like on the contrary, we need to be on your side. We need to side with you and say yes, what they are saying, and we back you up.
Yeah, man. It's like because it's like it's the thing about it, I say a PewDiePie. Like I say, man, the fact that you can't even think this man is racist, you definitely don't know what's going on in America, because people have been trying for centuries to oppress black people. And the fact that you can't even acknowledge when one person is doing it, then to me, you're kind of dismissing the whole entire American system, the entire North American, South American, Atlantic slave trade. Like, what is you talking about? Like, for you to say this is not happening or you don't see it, that's a lack of empathy. Because I've never been to a Native American reservation. I can understand how bad they living. They never was given citizenship up until like 50 years ago, was beaten, killed for hundreds of years. Like, how could you? I tell leftists, when you tell another person of color leftist to go talk to a white supremacist, you trying to tell us that it's not a big deal. Like this ideology is running the game now in North America, South America. Shout out to my black people in Colombia, Brazil. This is not a American thing. This is a, what I'm saying, entire thing. And that's just me, man. A lot of leftists I talk to, they talk to too many neo-Nazis, in my opinion. They be too friendly with them. You know what I'm saying? They be talking to them, buddy. I'm like, like, do you understand you trying to push ethnic genocide? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, that's just me. Like, hey, man, yeah, I know I'm plotting ethnic genocide, but what's up?
Yeah, Nazis, they don't need our charity. They don't need our charity. They need to be resisted powerfully, actually, because if we play charitable with Nazis, we're playing their game. Like, their game is to look like strong people. So if we come the left is saying, I'm gonna be nice to you, so in the odds that I may de-radicalize you, you're playing right into their hand. It's like there's no reasoning with them. Alas, they have to learn their lesson the hard way, because that's the only way they're gonna learn their lesson.
I do believe in redemption, you know, and
Absolutely, absolutely. But
a
then,
lot of I've been talking to a lot of people color on YouTube, and they have been I've been receptive for the most part, you know, like you guys. I got a small channel. I got a considerable amount of money on Patreon. Um, hey, I mean, eh, a lot of people, and also a lot of people, they want to hear this perspective because they don't know about it. You know, a lot of people, man, they waiting to hear a person like myself. Like I said, I've seen people shot right in front of me. I've been assaulted by police. I've been stopped and frisked. And to a lot of people, you know, this is fascinating. They have never seen it. In their communities, they didn't go to, like, a police would be at my school, you know what I'm saying? Treating us like it's you know, a prison at school, you know.
yeah, Chuck D said, like, land of the free, but the skin I'm in identifies me.
Yeah, I mean, that's some being living in neighborhoods where all they know is failure, you know, for decades. You know what I'm saying? It's all they failure. And a lot of white people I see live in communities that's so far away. It's like they on Jupiter and we on Mars, in a sense, in America. And I think a lot of people want to hear. That's why I've been telling a lot of Black people and Hispanic people, tell them about this. They think, see, I used to think, man, they don't want to hear about this. Man, they don't care nothing about this. But now as I get older, they don't know. So on my channel, I try to tell people about Alabama, about what's going, by how a lot of young people, young male of color, are living. You know, I know a lot of friends in jail. A lot of friends has got the wrong end of the stick, you know what I'm saying, throughout my life. And that's why I try to be authentic, and I try to tell people, because I want them to know, you know, if they know, then maybe they can address it better. You know, so that's me. You know, that's why I try to tell a lot of people of color, keep it real with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
your channel offers such a unique and powerful perspective. I think it's like really amazing. It's not a perspective we often get to see. So I think that's, yeah, the work you're doing is really incredible.
We're very grateful for it.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate it. The next video, inequality is violence, and
Looking forward to
Damn.
it. Yum, yum,
Yeah.
yum.
you know, and we're gonna grow. I'm trying to do YouTube everybody today. I'm supposed to do a stream with another young Black YouTuber that I brought on my channel. Now he's doing pretty good. And also, I tell this, man, if we have a big y'all get, let's try to, you know, help other leftists out, because we don't have billionaire donors. We don't have, all we have is you know, mutual aid. What we doing, Europe and America, you know what I'm saying? I like this,
Yeah.
talking to everybody.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Connecting with each other, you know, hanging out with each other in a friendly, nice way, and then you're picking each other's brains.
The last thing before I go, once I brought this up with this Mexican YouTuber I was talking to. All the YouTubers, like, what we can do cheap and expressive ways of getting our message out. Like a socialist movement and where you live that can drop a banner over a busy highway. You know, you're not the only one who don't like capitalism. We can have stickers. I was thinking about making stickers, and whenever there's a political event, we can go put stickers all on the wall in the bathrooms like this. It's to let people know that there are people out there who are against capitalism. Sometimes capitalism can look so titanic in its statue that one cannot even believe people are organizing against it. So I think stuff like this, real cheap and expressive shirts, you know, stuff like that, you know, a sticker, put it on the bathroom wall. And where you live at? You live in Scotland, Kathrin?
Yeah, Scotland, yeah.
Yeah, just go in, go in the big cities in Scotland when y'all have a political event and just put stickers on the wall, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bread tube, a leftist or whatever, you know. I don't know I don't know the slang out there. Do some Scotland slang, Scottish. I don't know what y'all say out there.
I gotta send you some stickers that say "Feed the rich to your cat." Your boss steals from you. Yeah. Sometimes we need to really simplify the message. Like
Yeah.
your boss is stealing from you. That's capitalism. It's your stupid boss stealing half of your salary because they think they're superior beings, the motherfuckers. They're just lucky. So, take it to the minimum expression and do that capitalist mindset.
Yeah, man. It was real great talking to y'all, man. That was awesome. Y'all keep dropping videos, keep being propagandists. Capitalism will fall globally.
Yes,
It will
yes, it
fall,
will.
Yes.
and we will dance on the rubble.
And it was so good to have finally a conversation with you, Jay.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this like for many months already. Like I need to talk with this guy because we're
Yeah.
gonna hit it up. I know it, and we did, right?
I
Yeah,
would
man.
I'd love so much if you could come on again, like because we do this every week on a Sunday, so it'd be so great if we could like get you on whenever you have time to like also join the conversation. That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, we could probably do this another time. Yeah, I'm normally off on Sunday, so yeah, off on the weekend, really. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. We'll arrange
Great.
something. Okay, fam, we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you all, everybody in the chat, and thank you, Dorian, for reminding me it was Francis Fukuyama, that tool that said that the end of history bullshit. That is totally wrong. And thank you all in the chat. Thank you all for viewing, for coming, for stopping by, and thank you all who was gonna see this like recorded. And I know like watching streams like after the fact is like super long. Bear with us. This was an awesome conversation. Jay from Suck My Opinion, Kathrin. We had Paul with us, Paul Morrin. Subscribe to everybody if you aren't, and thank you all for coming. Have a great one. This is the Socialist Sunday stream.